reiterate our Twitter hashtag, which is hashtag, so #, Twitter for hotels, in case you missed it from this screen. So we'll bring RJ back near the end of the webinar. And for those of you who aren't active, what exactly is Twitter? Twitter is a social networking site that enables users to send and read tweets or messages that are limited to 140 characters. Messages can contain text, imagery, and links, as well as hashtags. Now, a hashtag is a word or phrase identified by the # that indicates a specific topic that the tweet is about, like Twitter for hotels. So here you have the hashtag again on the screen, as well as a hashtag, for example, your hotel name. Now, the next big question, why use Twitter? Well, there are a number of reasons. First of all, guest service, and probably most importantly, social media has emerged as an important customer service tool, like the telephone or email. More and more travelers are using Twitter to talk about their experiences, to share information, and to make inquiries. So if you're not on Twitter, you're missing out on opportunities to connect with and engage guests before, during, and after trips. Twitter can also be used as a marketing tool for hotels and to network with clients and industry partners. And it's a great source for up-to-the-minute news and information, as well as market intelligence to know what's going on in your destination and to keep an eye on competitor activity. So for inspiration, here is a screenshot from a Cosmopolitan Hotel, their feed in Las Vegas, and as far as I know, they have the most followers of any single hotel in the world, with 216,000 and counting. No pressure for all you hoteliers out there. So, what can you see in 140 characters? That 140 character limit is a bit intimidating. What can you say that is meaningful in 140 characters? Well, a lot. Messages don't have to be long to grab attention and convey meaning. In fact, in social media, often the shorter the better, because people have very short attention spans. I like to use the example of American writer Ernest Hemingway. When he was a newspaperman in the 1920s, he bet his colleagues $10 that he could write a complete story in just 6 words. Now, he won with this story: For sale, baby shoes, never worn. Now, Hemingway was a minimalist, and he would have loved Twitter. This story has only 33 characters. He could have fit 4 of these stories in one tweet. Of course, you'll want your stories to be a bit more uplifting than this. So Twitter is particularly popular on mobile devices. Guests are sending tweets from the line at the front desk, from their rooms. They're taking pictures of themselves and uploading them everywhere, including in the bathroom. And they're tweeting at restaurant tables. These days, a server might ask a table how everything is, and they'll say, fine. And then he goes away, and they tweet a complaint. So they're complaining to everyone, but the one person who can fix their problem, which can be frustrating for service people. But the messaging, of course, isn't all negative. People are also using Twitter to praise hotels, to recommend hotels, and so it can be a strong referral tool. But it's the negative commentary that commands our most immediate attention. Take this tweet, for example. Now, imagine this was your hotel. Why would you want to catch this tweet immediately and act on it? Well, because the customer is still in your hotel. One of the things that makes Twitter unique is that many tweets are sent in real time about what the person is doing or thinking right now. Tweets tend to have kind of a short shelf life. Most disappear within about an hour or so, unless they go viral and get retweeted a lot. But they can be the sign of a bigger problem. And if this comment wasn't dealt with, it could lead to a bad review on TripAdvisor, for example, which has a much longer shelf life. Now here we have a tweet from another angry guest with kind of a nasty hashtag, checking from hell. Now look at the sincere apology from Corinthia Hotels and the offer to follow up by direct mail. So they're saying here, we are extremely sorry to hear you have had a bad check-in, but would like to help. Can you please follow up so we can collect some details via direct message in order to help? And then you see the response from the guest later. And I talked to Jason Potter, who's the head of social media for Corinthia Hotels. He tells me that Corinthia actively monitors Twitter for mentions and has a policy of responding to tweets within an hour. So in this case, the manager went to the guest room immediately and resolved the situation to guest satisfaction. So the response here, you can note that the hashtag has gone from check-in from hell to service. So whether it's online or offline, if you manage a complaint quickly and effectively, you can turn an upset customer into an advocate. Here's another example from another London hotel, the Cavendish. And here we have an angry guest, and we've got the hotel's response. And the final message from the guest, although things got off to a rocky start, I'm impressed with the Cavendish Hotel Twitter customer service and the food. The food is fabulous. So the hotel's quick response, their apology, and actions to resolve the issue once again turn an upset guest into an advocate. So when dealing with a complaint, rather than on Twitter, rather than getting involved in back and forth banter on this very public channel, try to take it offline by asking how you can reach them by phone or by email or by offering your own number. You can't direct message them if they're not following you, but you can ask. Alternatively, if you start the message with the Twitter address, as the Cavendish does here, only people following both you and the guest will see the message. I like this other exchange with the Cavendish and a guest, as the guest is actually looking for the lounge, and the Cavendish is helping them find the lounge, and then they go into the lounge to have a drink and say how much they're enjoying it. It shows the real-time nature of Twitter and how impressed guests can be when they receive these immediate responses. Now, Twitter is also a great tool for engaging guests before, during, and after trips and building relationships over time. To encourage guests to use Twitter while in-house, Piper Stevens, who is the director of social media at Lowe's Hotels and Resorts, tells me that the company prints its Twitter address on key cards along with the message "Tweet Dreams." You can see that right here. And in Las Vegas, the Mirage Hotel has a Twitter wall in its lobby showing its live Twitter stream. According to Danielle DeRamo, Interactive Marketing Manager, the hotel has a hashtag for the wall called Mirage Lobby Talk. When a tweet is sent out with one of those hashtags, it's run through a set of moderation filters to check for spam, profanity, etc. And then it goes into the stream on the tweet wall. And Danielle says that since the guest is much more likely to trust a fellow guest with recommendations or ideas, they like to share those stories for everyone to see. And the hotel also uses the wall to highlight venues and events. The Corinthia Hotel in London has what it calls Twitter TV, which is a channel on its in-room televisions that feature hotel tweets, mentions from other tweeters, local information, and, says Jason Potter, anything that we find that will help the guests stay. He says that it's managed through a customized feed, but they try not to vet it too much, as they want to be as transparent as possible, unless it's a high-profile or VIP guest. Many hotels are using Twitter as a concierge service tool to help guests plan their trips and to help them make the most of their stay. Red Carnation Hotels in the UK uses Twitter in this way, as well as to cross-promote its other social media channels. Social media manager Stasha Kerman tells me that Twitter is a great way to promote the company blog and vice versa. Look at the social media integration here on the Red Carnation blog, they've made it a central hub for social media content. And to the left, you can see that this blog post from Red Carnation with advice for families is tweeted by a writer who just happens to have more than 24,000 followers. So there's some very smart cross promotion here, helping to grow your social media communities. Now, finally, before I introduce our first guest, when it comes to writing your hotel's profile, you want to put some thought into it to make sure that the profile is a good representation of your brand. People often check out profiles before deciding whether to follow a person or a brand. So you want to make them want to follow you. And so I want to share with you a few examples of unique profiles. So first of all, Delta Hotels personalizes its profile by saying that it's Margot who is tweeting. People want to know that there's a person behind the brand. The Plaza Hotel in New York has a Twitter feed from Eloise, the fictional character from children's storybooks who lived at the hotel. And just down the road from the Plaza at the Algonquin, the hotel's resident cat has her own feed and actually has a lot more followers than many hotels I've seen. And then finally, I think my favorite character on Twitter is the spokes squirrel for Banff and Lake Louise Tourism in Alberta. Funny guy and always in character. Now, I received lots of great examples, and I'd like to thank, in particular, the Review Pro clients who sent their information in and are doing such a great job at Twitter. We'll hear in detail from one of these clients shortly, but for now, I just want to check our question feed, and maybe we'll take a live question before I introduce our next presenter. And here we have a question: should Twitter accounts be corporate or personal? Now, this is actually it's a good one. It's a big issue in the industry. The problem is, as I said, Twitter accounts being more personal is better. It's easier to build followings because people connect with people better than brands. The problem is, if you have a person in charge of your Twitter account and they leave, they may take all their followers with them. So in the hotel industry, I think that it's better to have a brand account run by the social media manager or whoever's in charge. And you can personalize it a bit by saying who's tweeting in the profile, like Delta does here. We're adding your name or initials to select tweets. And other individuals who work for the company, who work for the hotel, who have their own Twitter feed, of course, can support this feed with their own tweets. But maybe our other panelists will have other ideas. We'll check in with them, and let's start by introducing Mike Dejesus. As head of the travel vertical at Twitter, Mike and his team are responsible for evangelizing Twitter's platform and sharing paid and organic best practices to marketers in the travel, tourism, and hospitality industries. Prior to joining Twitter, Mike worked with LinkedIn and Google. He's a graduate of the University of California and the Digital Media Program at the Ad School of Sydney, Australia. Welcome, Mike. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for the intro. Everyone, I'm really excited to be here talking with all of you. And if we could go to the next slide, Daniel, I'll give you all an overview of what I plan on talking about in the next few minutes. So I'll walk you through a quick overview of Twitter as a platform and give you some insight into the travel opportunity on Twitter, including some of the best practices we've seen in the hotel space when it comes to cultivating and maintaining a strong Twitter presence and tips for success. I'll introduce you to Twitter's advertising products that help hoteliers achieve their marketing goals. And finally, I'll close off with a success story from one of our partners, Hyatt, who executed a unique and creative campaign leveraging Twitter ads. So if we can go to the next slide, I wanted to start off quickly with one of our taglines that we have here internally at Twitter and that we talk with our partners about, and that's Twitter brings you closer. There are several interpretations of what this line means. It sort of defines Twitter from my perspective. Daniel had a very good definition of what Twitter was in the beginning of this webinar. But for me, this means that Twitter is a real-time platform that brings users closer to the things and content that they are interested in or should be interested in. So if you think about it from a brand's perspective, what this means is that Twitter also brings you closer to the people that you're interested in reaching and engaging with, and in our case, hotel guests and potential guests. Next slide, please. I wanted to also give you guys an idea of how much we've grown. So I've been here for about 2 years, and we've experienced tremendous growth with regard to the platform and also here internally with the number of employees that we have. Firstly, we currently have 230 million plus Twitter users globally. Many people call us a mobile-first platform. Daniel alluded to this earlier. And this is evident from the next column. We have 170 million active users who access Twitter via a mobile device, so that's a smartphone or a tablet, each month. And if you think about that metric, travel and hospitality companies, they're at an advantage here because we're seeing that more and more people use social media to talk about what they're doing in real time while they're on vacation or while they're planning a getaway, giving you all an opportunity to connect with those users in a relevant way. So one last metric that I'll call out on this slide is that 500 million tweets are sent by Twitter users each day. Personally, this is a metric that I love because, just to give you context, when Twitter first launched as a platform, it took 3 years, 2 months, and 1 day to generate 1 billion tweets. Now we see 1 billion tweets sent on the platform every 2 days, which is fantastic because this means that not only are the number of Twitter users growing, but Twitter users are communicating and sending more and more tweets and content out on a daily basis. And on the next slide, I wanted to include this eMarketer study, which shows that more and more people are coming online to research travel options, including hotel and accommodation options, meaning it's becoming more and more important for travel companies, including hotels, to have a stronger online and social presence in order to influence potential travelers and guests. On the next slide, similarly, and this is also a slide that I love very much because more and more people are using their mobile devices, smartphones and tablets again, to research travel options. And you can see that the growth rate here, year over year in the projections, are at a much higher and steeper trajectory than even online. Wanted to call this out because being that Twitter users are heavily engaged on mobile devices, again, 175 million users a month access Twitter via mobile devices. This means that the vertical that I manage here at Twitter, travel and hospitality, is at an incredible advantage to influence and engage with the masses of potential travelers on a mobile-heavy platform, which is Twitter. I included the next slide because I wanted to show you all some Twitter internal data that we have. And that I have pulled for you and put together. I mentioned 500 million tweets are sent out daily by Twitter users, but this slide shows that a significant portion of those tweets and what people are talking about are comprised of travel-related conversations, and that those travel-related conversations continue to grow year over year. So this basically says people are coming to Twitter and they're talking more and more about their vacations or what they're planning to do on vacation, or they're thinking about upcoming holidays or 3-day weekends. Again, this gives hotels an increasingly growing advantage to communicate with those users in real time. So hopefully this gives you all an introduction to the opportunity that hoteliers have on Twitter. I guess if I were to summarize the previous slides, the bottom line here is that more and more people come to Twitter to talk about their vacations and provide opportunities to influence them via Twitter. If we can go to the next slide, I know that this is something that a lot of you have asked to see, but I wanted to give you an idea of how hoteliers are using their Twitter presence and in what ways they communicate with or engage with the population of Twitter users. Next slide. You can see that the first point that I'll talk about is something that Daniel talked about at length, and that's to communicate directly with customers. You can see in this example that hotels like Kimpton do a good job of coming to Twitter to talk to guests and have a conversation in a very personal way. They answer questions, they listen to feedback. As you saw, they address frustrating issues presented by guests on Twitter, and they show gratitude to satisfied guests for their business and their praises. Of course, Twitter also provides an opportunity for you all as hoteliers to drive bookings and promote your rates to the Twitter population and to your Twitter followers. Another way hotels are using Twitter is to find loyal advocates and guests and to push out things like loyalty. Because of Twitter's real-time nature, it's important for all of you on the call here to think about relevant local happenings and events that are happening around you, and that you create tweets that show Twitter users that you're relevant. So you can see in the example here, Hotel Palomar Dallas did a good job of this. They used a tweet to talk about an upcoming state fair located in Dallas and told Twitter users basically, hey, we know it's coming up, we know that this event is top of mind for you, and we know that you probably need a place to stay. We've got a solution, we've got a room for you. This is something that Twitter users love to see. The last point on this slide is that Twitter is a great place for hoteliers to showcase exclusive promotions, discounts, rates, and offers to potential guests. We did an internal study here at Twitter that showed that a large proportion of people on Twitter follow brands to receive promotions and discounts. So this means that people are always looking for the hottest and most relevant deals when they follow a brand on Twitter, including hotels. One last best practice on the next slide that I wanted to share, and it's also a very important one, is that we always encourage, or at least my team here at Twitter, always encourage clients to use rich media, mainly photos, videos, vines, in order to show potential hotel guests what you have to offer, from an amenities perspective, for example, in a visually compelling way, especially when, as Daniel mentioned, 140 characters can sometimes feel limiting. So one big takeaway here, Twitter users love seeing rich media. They love rich experiences and visual experiences, and hoteliers like Embassy Suites and Hilton, as you can see here, are taking advantage of that trend. Next slide. I wanted to take a minute to talk through a few best practices to ensure that hoteliers know how to write the most effective tweets. I have 4 tips on this slide, and they're specifically for tweets that are focused around direct response or driving users to click on links within your tweet. So if your goal is to tweet out something to have Twitter users click on a specific link, maybe to land on your hotel's landing page or website, and that's the primary goal of this tweet, then you should consider these 4 steps. So first, whenever you decide to include the URL in a tweet to drive traffic from Twitter to your site, we advise not to use hashtags, usernames, or @handles, or links to rich media like photos or videos. This is because we want to make sure that, if your primary focus is getting people to click on a link, we don't want to distract Twitter users with other clickable items in your tweet, like hashtags. Another best practice here I wanted to call out is to always make sure that your tweet copy and language is very clear and contains a clear call to action. Tell Twitter users exactly what you want them to do and what they should expect to see or do if they click on that link. Where are you taking them? The third tip, try to ensure that you're communicating a compelling offer whenever applicable. In this mock example that I put together, the word free can be very compelling and effective, and users will be more inclined to click on that link and visit your website. Finally, try and think about how you can drive a sense of urgency with a tweet. Example buzzwords that hoteliers often use are limited time, special Twitter rate, or going back to another best practice, tying tweet copy to an upcoming event or a holiday like Thanksgiving holidays or 3-day weekends to say, again, we know that this holiday is coming up. We know you're probably planning travel around this 3-day weekend. And here's what I have to say about that. If we can go to the next slide, I also wanted to quickly share a study that we did in conjunction with a certified partner of ours, Topsy, which is a social media monitoring and analytics company. We examined a good number of direct response focused tweets to get an understanding of whether certain buzzwords included in tweets drove more click-throughs and traffic to a website. I mentioned a couple of these points earlier, like using @ handles can result in lower click-through rates from a tweet, but you should also take a moment to consider some of the other insights on this slide, like asking questions in your tweets. It's pretty obvious, but Twitter is a very conversational platform. That's what makes it so special. It's very public, it's very open. So it sometimes pays off to ask Twitter users questions and spark conversations. In addition, towards the bottom of the slide, using several buzzwords whenever relevant, like exclusive, free, sale, and win, resulted in more click-throughs to an advertiser's website via a tweet. And on the next slide, I also wanted to quickly run through and showcase the results of a study that we commissioned by Compete. We wanted to understand why it's important for hoteliers to tweet regularly. This slide compares gray. The second group on the right consisted of internet users who had been exposed to tweets. This study revealed that internet users who saw tweets from hoteliers or cruise lines were more likely to visit a hotel or cruise website. And on the next slide, those users were also more likely to search for a hotel or cruise brand term on sites like Google. And on the next slide, they were 118% more likely to visit websites and perform desirable actions on those websites. So if you think about it, searching for rates, searching for available dates, and ultimately booking a hotel or cruise solution. This study was great for me and my team, the travel team, because it helps hoteliers and brands who are new to Twitter realize the value that tweeting can provide to influence things like brand consideration, conversions, bookings, and traffic with Twitter users who are looking for hotel options. On the next slide, I just wanted to talk quickly about two of Twitter's advertising products, since the whole reason that they exist is to take your Twitter presence to the next level. Next slide. The first product that I wanted to talk about is promoted accounts. Promoted accounts is going to allow you to supercharge your Twitter follower growth. As I mentioned, Twitter is an interest-based platform. You can target your promoted account by interests. Basically, you can tell Twitter to find people who are interested in specific interest categories like travel or food and wine or cruises or any other of our hundreds of interest categories that we have available to target. You can also choose to target Twitter users who are similar to followers of a specific account, like another hotel. The Twitter users who fall within the targeting parameters that you've set would be eligible to see your promoted account in order to encourage them to follow you because they see it in the Who to Follow widget there on the left-hand side, prominently placed and designated by an orange arrow. On the next page, next slide, the second product that I wanted to talk about, this is sort of my favorite product personally, is promoted tweets. I talked to you about why tweeting is so important for hoteliers and for any company in the travel vertical. The promoted tweet product would allow you to target a tweet to show in the timelines of Twitter users who fall into the targeting parameters you select, whether they currently follow you on Twitter or not. Similar to promoted accounts, you can target your tweets to appear in the timelines of people who fall into interest categories you select, like travel, hotels, and food and wine. And ultimately, adventure travel, etc. But one recent additional targeting capability for promoted tweets is now we provide the ability to keyword target, which allows you to target your tweets to users who include specific words within their own tweets. So, for example, if someone's tweeting out Thanksgiving holiday, a tweet that includes 2 words, Thanksgiving and holiday, we would allow you to reach them and reach that user via their timeline with a promoted tweet saying, we know you're thinking about Thanksgiving holiday and that it's coming up, it's just around the corner. We have Thanksgiving specials for you. So in summary, these are just 2 of them. But our advertising products allow you as hoteliers to find the right Twitter users, so that travel enthusiastic audience I spoke about earlier, and target your messaging to them in order to engage with and communicate with those users. So the last thing I'll talk about on the next slide is a case study from one of our partners, Hyatt. And if we can go to the next slide, I wanted to showcase a recent example of a hotel chain that did a good job of tapping into the Twitter and travel opportunity to deliver an impactful and high-profile advertising campaign. It's sort of become the talk of the town. Hyatt was looking to hear directly from travel enthusiastic people on Twitter, and they wanted to have a public conversation with those users in order to derive insights about how they could improve as a company. So they focused this specific campaign around a hashtag WLFG, World's Largest Focus Group, which was a trending hashtag the day that they ran this initiative, where they led conversations on Twitter using travel influencers and bloggers. Hyatt used promoted tweets with the help of their account team here in order in a few hours, were able to solicit feedback and follow up with takeaways from their CMO. Hyatt did a really, really good job here using Twitter to listen to the community, to solicit real feedback in real time, to showcase a truly collaborative tone as a company, and to build relationships with guests and potential guests, while at the same time using the initiative to drive real changes as a company. So a very, very strong example of thought leadership and relationship building in the hotel space at scale. So if we can go to the next slide, I hope this presentation was helpful to you in understanding, at least at an introductory level, why hoteliers are looking to Twitter more and more to build important relationships with their hotel guests and potential guests. I'd recommend that you all visit and navigate around business.twitter.com in order to learn more about how to leverage Twitter to your advantage, to see more case studies, more tips, and other best practices. And if you're interested in connecting with me and my team directly, or interested in discussing specific marketing opportunities and potential campaigns for your hotel and company via Twitter ads, here are my contact details. I'd love to hear from you. Finally, be sure to follow me at Mike of Jesus on Twitter. I'll keep you posted on all the hot new topics related to Twitter and travel. And maybe the occasional pop culture and music update. I'll also be announcing the winners of today's raffle later today. Thanks, everyone.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. Very insightful. Particularly, I found it interesting how you broke down the anatomy of a promotional tweet, because while in the hotel industry we don't want to overwhelm our followers with promotional tweets, one of the main reasons that people do follow brands on social media accounts is to find out about specials, promotions, exclusive offers. So it helps to learn what makes a tweet like that effective.
Yeah. And it's also about, keeping it conversational and doing a blend of both, as you mentioned. We see the most success there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for all those examples. I think they're very helpful. Now we are going to move on to our next guest, Marco Fanton, who is Director of Social Media with Melia Hotels International, which operates more than 350 hotels in 35 countries across 4 continents. Marco has over 14 years of experience marketing and developing in a digital environment. In 2008, he moved to Palma de Mallorca to lead online product development for Melia. And in 2011, he became Global Social Media Director, responsible for the strategic development and implementation of all major social media initiatives for the Melia Hotels brand. Welcome, Marco. It's great to have you with us.
Hi, how you doing, everyone? Thanks for inviting me. So, it's a pleasure to be here and share with you guys the Tweet Experience Hotel, the pilot that we launched just this middle of summer this year. And I think there is a popular idea, and I would love to share that as our little experience here. And first of all, thanks also to Review Pro, which is, we are very related with fantastic tool that we use in our community management network. Okay, so let's go to this next slide, Daniel. Okay, what we did this summer was going a little bit further with all the presentation and the sample we saw before. It's we try to bring to a place which is a location in Palma, Mallorca, very young destination, Madrid, where we try to really, with the target of client we have over there, it's over-connected clients. Never during the vacation, they are really connected, like 80-95% of our guests are bringing devices, are connecting through social media during the vacation. So what we try to do with this kind of client is try to go in a little bit further and create Twitter as a part of a platform of our conversation, but also as a part of experience of our guests. So let's see what we did in this pilot project. Next, please. What really was starting to working on the project was starting to really make a connection between what is physical, what really are the spaces of the hotel, what we really communicate as its experience to this platform, to Twitter. We like the idea of the real-time engagement on Twitter. We love the idea of this kind of profile of guests in this place. So we start to create all the perceivement of experience involved in different areas. And we start also to work into physical decoration of the hotel. We play with around the idea of really a kind of guest who's connected to Twitter, loves Twitter, and try to connect with this type of guest. As well, we create a virtual community, which we call a social wave, and later on you will see more information about it. Next, please. What we did in this case was create a concept of what we call a party fit space of Twitter party fits. There was a product with creating unique experiences around a room, mostly around space. So what we created around that was also introducing engagement and conversation between staff and team and our guests regarding some basic services on hospitality. Some unique hashtag of conversation became like part of connection, part of the experience, like Fill My Fridge, Asking 700. And what we introduced also was the concept of really Twitter concierge and try to have a philosophy in all the properties, was really what we start to call call to tweet. It's invite with a specific presence of hashtag and actions and content to have a reaction from guests on real time and tweeting what they're reading, what their experience. Next, please. So, okay. One of the basic part of our experiences was the creation of another kind of community, which makes also even stronger the relationship between guests and non-profit. In this case, we decided to create an application, a web application, which was available by connecting to the Wi-Fi. So basically, every one of our guests is seeing their connection to the connection. So what we did is asking them to connect in through this application, inviting to using their social profile, but especially their Twitter. So from there, everyone is connecting to the social Wi-Fi of the hotel, is appearing to the rest of the guests with their own profile in Twitter and start to have a conversation with the rest of the guests, which is around one application and a family of hashtags, which is available inside the application. Let's see some little detail about that. Next, what we do in an application called Social Rainbows, we allowed our guests to play each other. So it's not to have a conversation which is more private in a kind of, but it's using the same kind of format of communication that Twitter uses. And every time we use and we apply any hashtags for a specific information, the guests can, that's part of the conversation to everyone. But it is interesting, the reaction of our guests in a way where you really start to connect, to create a magic moment when you have a digital presence and you start to see through your digital presence and you have something you're very familiar with, you start to see other guests around and you start to, going through gallery of the guests. And that's exciting. It's not you're not tweeting with a guy who is in China. You are tweeting with someone who's very close, and you can have this kind of interaction, which is very real. Next slide, please. So what we keep forward in this experience, which were the people really like to engage each other, especially in this pilot project, in this kind of targets we have in this place. Again, it's a specific profile. So we create what we call, before I mentioned, call to tweet in a specific area of the hotel, like belly pads, in-room communication, other areas, menus, and other different areas, as well as staff create their own hashtag for a specific event, for a specific situation in the hotel, to generate really a call to tweet in our community, in our local. It's pretty exciting to see how those of conversation are not staying there only. They became very, very viral. They became very, the power of Twitter is amazing. And the way those local conversations really will full of a hashtag, which is very cool. Next slide, please. And what we're trying to do is, again, what we're working in this moment is a pilot. It's something we are learning all together. And when I say all together, I say all the staff. It's extremely important. The major, I think, the major information, the major experience that we have as a development project, really how our staff get excited to be part of it. What you mentioned before. Should we use the staff as a personal? We believe that really there is a part of the conversation, a culture of the conversation, which is has to be part of a culture of the service. That the staff need to be part of this kind of project of the conversation, need to engage. And we try to do that in this project, pre-arrival quiz. So we start, ready to, from the booking online, before you come into the place. Part of our Twitter concierge staff, it's engaging, it's sharing real-time information. And that's the beauty of Twitter. The real-time, it's really linking perfectly with a mobile experience and with a services and with hospitality. So, our point of view, it's pretty exciting what we can do in that direction. So it's not just, a conversation based on customer service. It could be a little bit more standard. Next, please. Besides the staff, which was very, very, very involved, and what really happening, it's part of the conversation, picking experiences. So it's crazy. That's just a little sample we got here. How the people really can like the kind of guest we have to have part of the services delivered through a conversation, through a Twitter conversation. So it's not anymore it's a mix of real experiences together with the virtual experiences, because all the two things are today are are together. I mean, devices are in front of us, and all the guests together. And this kind of product are really well connected. So this is a new learning for us. It's a new learning that we have to understand to deliver another dimension of experiences, which is going in this case to this kind of real-time conversation. Okay, next slide, please. And what we're learning also about this, it's basically that the people who writes enjoy very much the guests and the generation to be part of the conversation, to be part of this business. So it's not anymore the brand community to start to generate their own content. It's simple, cool to fit. We generate in-room contest, for example. We have a fit contest that we call in this case under a specific hashtag. So you can win a room for a week, and you have just to picture yourself in front of the mirror of our rooms. So all the gallery of simple action was crazy, was exciting. So the people really like to picture themselves, share their own experiences in real time to their own Twitter community, which is very cool. Okay, let's go into the next slides, please. Sorry, I can read here. There is some connection problem. I hope everyone really hear about it. But that's just the final slides, and we're doing a little recap about some figures that we'd like to share with you. Actually, this profile, this conversation, hotel conversation, start from zero. I mean, we decided to launch this pilot this summer. It's an over 100 days project, and in this case, we launch also a new profile for the hotel. So what we increased was the guest satisfaction. All the tracking we did through Revy Pro tools was pretty exciting about what we did in this case. And as well, what we generated, it's a big number of what we call social guests. I mean, it's the people who's really we can have opportunity to download information about them. Guests who's really we can matching their profile with the knowledge of the guest. And then organic followers, then you see the number of the mentions, the replies, and the favorites, but extremely all the impression and the activity was crazy. The media coverage on this was amazing as well. Yes, I think the idea really generated a lot of attention worldwide, and I think that's a starting point from us. And as the latest slide, let me show you this. Next slide, please. I think what we're really looking at is a feedback from clients, and that's the very latest slides. It's experience. It's what we're learning from the conversation of the guest, and we like to keep this as a final hashtags here to stay. We think this is a little bit of a revolution in the hotel industry, and this kind of experience and pilot project will probably change the experience of hospitality in certain kind of product in the near future. And that's it for us. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Marco, for that insight into this experiment hotel. So, do you think we'll see more Melia tweet experience hotels in the future?
I think we should be focused on this product. We want to do it. We receive a lot of feedback about really Twitter junkies around the planet. They want to experience the new season 2014, a full tweet experience in our hotel. So I think we're going to be focused on this product for the moment.
Okay. That's funny. Twitter junkies. Yes, there are many of them out there. Well, thank you, Marco. We're going to bring you back in a couple minutes for the Q&A period. And just a reminder, we're getting a lot of questions and comments coming in, which is fantastic. So we'll answer as many as we can at the end. And a reminder that the hashtag is Twitter for Hotels. And if you include that hashtag in your tweet, you get a chance to win one of 3 t-shirts being given away by Twitter. Now, we are going to bring back RJ Friedlander to give us a quick overview of Review Pro functionality to help you monitor and manage social media. RJ?
Thanks, Daniel. And hey, Marco, congratulations. It's exciting to see how Melia Hotels has evolved over the last 3 years, and the way that you guys have used social media, and especially for being such a large organization, taking chances, doing new things, and with really, really cool results. So congratulations to you and the team. So from Mike's conversation, there were a number of really interesting points, right? Talking about the clear growth of research being done online, the impact of not only Twitter, but other social media channels, and obviously the impact of reviews themselves on the decision-making process when choosing between a given hotel and deciding how much one is willing to pay. So what we're doing in the social media space, so this is to separate review analytics are separate, but here what we have is an overview of the social media activity across all channels. So what we can do is quickly and visually see where the activity is. We have an index that gives the ability to kind of see performance. So what we do is today, with so many different channels, so many different types of user-generated content, we facilitate having all that information all in one place and all accessible, and you can respond directly, right? So if we move on, Daniel, what we'll see here is, Mike was talking about best practices, right? And it was interesting. I thought that was a fantastic list of ideas. Many hotels I know are not doing those things, and so that's great upside opportunity, right? So one of the opportunities is clearly to, in fact, first of all, recognize that as hoteliers, we're really in the experience business, right? And successful hoteliers are those that are able to exceed expectations and deliver fantastic experiences, no matter what segment they play in, right? So what we can do is take content that's being generated and share that across social media platforms like Twitter. So content that's generated in other places can be retweeted directly from Review Pro, so we can share tweets and share other content. If we move on, Daniel, what we'll see is, and going again back to these best practices, we're seeing more and more clients that are using Twitter as a way to sell, right, and to actually find clients and engage with them during the discovery process, right? So our tool works off keywords. So the first obvious keyword is the name of your hotel. You can use names of events, many of the things that Mike was talking about in best practices. But for example, in this case, this is an example. Someone used a recommend hotel in Las Vegas. And what this client was able to do was to identify opportunities that were people either in the city or there for an event and engaged with them while they're in this discovery process. And that's very helpful in converting and driving reservations. So if we go on to the next and last slide, what we see here is another example of that where, in fact, this is a client of ours, the Apex Hotels, that is using various saved searches, right? So recommend hotel destination, recommend related to events, etc., to identify consumers or individuals that are trying to find information and that are in a position of going through the discovery process. And it's a fantastic opportunity to engage with them in that moment, in a very valuable moment, and in a way that they're very receptive, right, to engage with you and your brand, right? And so what we're finding is many clients are getting between 1 and 3 reservations a month this way, right? So, in social media, oftentimes we hear this, the conversation around ROI, right? So, this is just one of a number of ways that our clients are driving direct, measurable ROI and also engaging in potential clients in a very creative way. So, thanks, Danny.
All right, thank you, RJ. Now, just wrapping things up with a couple key takeaways and so where to go for some information. And then we are at time, but if you can stick around for a little while, we're going to bring our panelists back in a moment, and we'll take a few of your questions. So key takeaways: use Twitter for guest services, engagement, and marketing. When handling complaints, listen, respond, try to take it offline, act on the feedback, and follow up. Use hashtags to identify topics. And feature-rich media, as Mike recommended, and events, interests, promotions to get that engagement and to build your communities. When it's a direct response or promotional tweets, include a call to action, a compelling offer, and sense of urgency. And then finally, as RJ discussed, monitor for feedback and for sales opportunities. Okay. Now, for more information about Review Pro, you can hit the Review Pro site. Go to the blog. We have lots of articles. We'll have a follow-up article on this topic, Twitter for hotels, as well as we'll feature some of your questions, answers to some of your questions from the panelists on the blog. If you'd like a demo of Review Pro, go to the Review Pro website/demo. You can email Review Pro directly at info@reviewpro.com. Also for Review Pro clients, reminder of the Learning and Support Center available through the Review Pro dashboard, where all of these previous webinars are available for viewing on demand. Bear with me for a moment. All right. All right, so back to the questions. We're going to bring our panelists in, and we have had loads of questions. And I'm going to start with one of the most popular questions, and maybe I'll throw this to you, Mike, to start off. How do you measure ROI on a Twitter campaign?
Hello?
Mike, there he is.
Hey, yeah, it cut out for a little bit. Can you repeat the question, Daniel?
Yeah, so how do you measure ROI on a Twitter campaign?
Yeah, so we get this question does come up a lot here, obviously, as well. And it really comes down to what you care about, what your campaign goals are. I'm assuming that a lot of you are asking the question from a revenue and booking generation perspective. So there are really a couple of things to consider here. So for driving traffic to your website, to your booking page, there are a couple popular link analytics companies and tools like Bitly and Google Analytics to determine how many users are coming to your site via your tweets and what those users are doing when they get to your website. Speaking from managing the travel vertical specifically, for hotels and other travel companies who are looking to drive direct response and bookings, it can be a little bit more difficult because people may not be ready to book a room right when they're on Twitter seeing your tweet. So tactics like Twitter-specific discount codes can be helpful in attributing Twitter-originated bookings. We also released a product called the Lead Gen Card, which you guys can do some research on, which can also help solve this, where users can easily submit their email address within a tweet. So hotels can collect that information, follow up with users, nurture them via email marketing, so that they can convert whenever they're ready. And again, that user found you via your tweet. But I think at a very general level, it's if you're talking about how to prove the value of Twitter, and you have looser conversion goals, you can simply just measure the uplift in overall tweet engagement and follower growth before a campaign and after a campaign. Is one general tactic. I think also generally speaking, it's important to think about the impact that Twitter is having on more upper funnel activities like discovery and brand awareness. So metrics like the ones I mentioned earlier, the engagement metrics like retweets and replies and mentions are beneficial there. Our most successful clients, I can tell you, are the ones who have gone internally to educate the powers that be in order to shine light on the whole value that social media and that Twitter's playing, and it's not just last click attribution anymore.
Okay, thanks very